trying to find the Gerard hiking trail. I just drove 2 hours up here and spent an hour looking for the group that I'm supposed to hike with, and they're nowhere to be found. I'm so tired of hiking alone.
Chippy.
Hey, caterpillars. Yeah, but not much. I was mostly down after that one. Alright. Swing bridge boxing. Yep. So we got a yellow Drake well toward North Lawn. Saturday, May 13th, 2017. Trail goes up, see a nice bench here. So we turn left and go up. This wasn't exactly on my list of trails I want to film next, but it works out. Get this trail up. Flowers on the ground still. Originally I thought maybe I'd go down to Laurel Mountain today and train on the southern 8 miles, but that's 3 hours from here and the driving is ridiculous. And there's nothing that this trail doesn't have. It won't simulate the ups and downs of the Laurel Highlands hiking trail. I mean, there may not be a hill that's quite as long, but that first hill was pretty big. But I feel a lot stronger after last week at the canyon, man. Hadn't really done anything over like 13 or 14 miles this year. All of a sudden did 31 miles. It took me forever. And now I don't know, I feel like I could get to 31 miles and maybe not be quite so out of my mind and go a little further. It's easy to say when you're only a few miles and now what happens here? Right before. So I'm supposed to play a kayak camping trip next weekend. The people I come up here intending to hike with were going to give me a little ideas maybe on the area, sort of where exactly I need to go and whatnot, but since guess I'm not seeing them. What I may end up doing is driving out to the places myself later and just doing all that sort of stuff all at once. This is GoPro 5, which is the most, data intensive outdoor camera I've ever had. It'll make 3.3 gigabytes in like 8 minutes or something for a 4K 30 frame per second video. So, yeah, with this camera I could probably easily and probably will end up getting 200 gigabytes on a weekend quite frequently. My 200 gigabyte card used to get me 9 hours of video, now it gets me 6 hours. It's funny, every time they upgrade the GoPro, whatever memory card you have gets like a lot less time. They're kind of pushing the limits of how fast people's computers can even play the videos, how fast the internet can handle them, how fast the data card can pick it up. Picture. Here's an interesting mess. Some whole trees. Now what I really want to do is ride my bike sometime this weekend. Look at the size of those trees, they're beautiful. Big gorgeous hemlocks. Forest primeval, it looks a lot like Cook's Forest. Bright yellow blazes. You can even feel the cool coming up from the water down below. Gurgling rapids. Basically what I just did here is I changed the color. I don't know, however this thing processes color from flat to GoPro color. I think flat allows for more dynamic range and GoPro color makes everything really vibrant and bright. Creek down there. Well, Creek's a big creek, it's some kind of mountain creek. I got one 32-ounce Gatorade in my backpack, so see how far that'll get me. I drank like half a gallon of water on the way up here and I still feel like almost delirious with dehydration. I'm like, I don't know how you can get so dehydrated going to sleep at night. I always end up getting the latest GoPro. I'll probably still have a GoPro 2 or something, but I tend to use them so much that they break. And it just makes sense to get the new one when it comes out. I can't really imagine how someone could have one of these and have the same one for years, although I do see they have this nice 2-year warranty plan on the 5, which I'm totally going to get because I anticipate needing to replace it probably 3 or 4 times in 2 years, and that would definitely save me some money. I just did something, hopefully I'll never have to do it again, a major data restoration project. I had to get a 4 terabyte hard drive that stopped working to get the data again, and it cost me somewhere around $1,600. I don't know, it seems like an exorbitant price, but I don't think it can be done cheaply. The everything had to be taken to a dry room, and just all this, like, months, literally like 2 to 3 months to get it back. It's coming back soon. So from now on, I'm being way more careful about backing my stuff up. You can see the little creek. This trail just makes me want to keep going. It just gets better and better. Thank you guys that watch these videos that I put up on YouTube. Bogton Run, okay, that's what this is called. I'm consistently setting records for number of views, minutes watched, monetization, everything these last few months. I'm still hardly making beans from the YouTube AdSense, but it's something. But my hope is one of these days, hopefully these videos will catch on, and maybe I'll get some of my adventures at least paid for, or sustainably, let's say, managed, so it doesn't cost me most of my paycheck to come out and do these adventures. Gas is so expensive these days. This really looks like Cook's Forest a lot. Wow. Bogton Falls. There it is. Last week on the Mile Triathalon, showed up in Tioga County. I guess I can tell you guys about it on this video, because there is no video of that event, which I'd hoped to get. So after 5 hours of driving on Friday night, I actually took Friday off and I hoped to get up Friday morning, but being that I'm barely getting by, I just started a new job and I'm trying to pay off a lot of debt, I had to wait for some paycheck or something to come in, which didn't come until 1 o'clock, so I had to run to the bank. Then I had to try to go and buy all my gear, because every year there's a required list of things that you need to have for the Canyonman 100 Triathlon. I needed to pick up some bike lights and get my food and try to organize myself to be ready for the kayak and the bike and the run and all that. I didn't want to forget my shoes. I have to run the entire West Rim Trail in sandals like last year, so I finally left Pittsburgh about 7 o'clock, like literally leaving like the city of Pittsburgh, and drove for 5 hours. It was like 1 o'clock. Yeah, it was 12 o'clock when I got to Gallatin, PA, and got gas. 1 o'clock when I finally found the campground at Hills Creek Park. Of course, there was a detour, so it took me another half an hour or so to actually find the detour. The camping sites went to like number 26. My site was 27, which literally meant I had to drive like, I don't know, 8 or 10 miles out of the park around some crazy roundabout loop and then all the way back to where I was blocked off before. I don't know if a bridge was out or what, and get my campsite. And so I got the campsite and didn't really sleep because I needed to get up again at like 4 in the morning or 3:45, something like that. I needed to leave before 5 to try to get to the Burn and Barrel bar in Ansonia by 6 a.m. And so I did that, and I was confused. Last year I didn't quite know what was going on because I had never done a triathlon. Here I am jumping into a 100-mile thing that's kind of halfway between Ironman distance and half Ironman distance equivalent. And so this year I'm like, oh, I have everything prepared. Nobody was allowed to stage anything the night before like they did last year, so there was no competitive advantage. But I got to the place I was going to take my kayak out 5:15, hopefully get all the gear packed in 5:30, go over and stand around and wait to get to start. Well, Pine Creek Gorge was running at 5.5 feet or something, and I think flood stage might have been 6 feet or something, but it was rising, and there were trees in the water, just massive current. All the rapids were up a class. It had just rained for like 5 solid hours, like pretty much the continuous night, the whole night before. Solid rain, like 4 inches of rain. So 3 rafts are there. I go back and I ask, we're kayaking? And no, we're taking rafts. So then I had to get my stuff, which was packed in plastic bags and different things that I would stick in the bulkheads of my kayak, which keep things pretty dry. That included dry clothes, food, my shoes, and also my GoPro 4 camera, which at the time was on its last legs. It could only do time lapse, and my Nikon S9700 camera, $300 camera that's good for taking still pictures. And as soon as we got in the raft, the water and waves, they start splashing it over. My stuff is in like not a dry bag or anything. We go down, we set record time for one thing. We do 19 miles in the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon down Pine Creek Gorge in 2 hours and 25 minutes. Now the previous year, everyone was setting record time and nobody beat 3 hours. I guess that normally takes like 4 hours or more. So by 9 in the morning, we're out of the raft. I'm actually not as hypothermic as I was the previous year, even though this year it was actually colder. Last year it was maybe 53 and it rained on and off. It was probably about 40 and raining almost continuously all day. They give me a paddling jacket type thing that I guess they use the rafting company, Pine Creek Outfitters or something, and I end up running the whole thing in this paddling jacket. I thought about running in my life jacket because I'm like anything for warmth. Ran up the hill. That hill, when you go up the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon, takes like every bit of an hour to go up. I thought, oh, this year I'll blast up there faster. Well, of course I wanted to see if I could get my camera to work and get my phone to work. So I open up my dry bag and I try to turn everything on, and I'm like, oh crap, everything is soaking wet. I have like a 20,000 milliamp battery in there, 2 6,000 milliamp batteries. Nothing. Dead. I have GoPro batteries. Switch them in and out of the camera. Dead. I try to turn on the Nikon camera. It doesn't work. Try to turn on the phone. It doesn't work. So, keep running. Of course, I forgot to put on some chafing cream. That's the thing. It's never good to do one of these ultra events with like total lack of sleep. A lot of times I won't sleep good right before an event, but total lack of sleep is not good for me. So I forgot to do that. So, eventually I just give up after like 3-4 hours and stopping to fiddle with this and just resign myself to the fact that the camera, 2 cameras are broke. So that's $700, and my phone needs replaced through the insurance, $150. Some of my batteries were able to be salvage. They started working again, so say probably just under $900 worth of electronic equipment destroyed. And had I known that we were going to go in a raft, and had I got more sleep, I would have prepared differently and actually used proper dry bags and whatnot. I would have been fine in my kayak. So this week, so the event goes on. Get to mile 20, and I'm slower than last year. I'm slower than I ever was. It's getting dark. I'm losing all this time. You get to this point where you're by like Letonia Road in the run, and I was there at like 6 o'clock, which was an hour earlier than last year, which wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. This we started the run an hour earlier, but then I start getting all this chafing, and the chafing slows me down to the point where I'm barely walking, you know, and that's only like a few miles later. So from like mile 26 to 31, I'm literally going 1 or 2 miles an hour, and just sore as ever, just writhing in pain, just trying to get there. It's getting dark, and of course, because all my electronics were screwed up, well, that includes my flashlights, my headlamps, my camera, and my phone could have been used as a spare source of light. So here I am, I'm out in the forest in like this wilderness area kind of near Colton Point Park, and I think it's actually called like a wild area, which might be like a Pennsylvania state wilderness area type thing. I see some of the bikers in the group go by that finished hours ago. They're like, hi, you know, zipping by, right? And I'm just like thinking like, I need rescued, like I need someone to come and get me. But I couldn't call, you know, so of course the race director and everything, they're worried, and they're thinking, oh, he's not calling, like what's happened, did he die, you know? And I'm like, I really need to be picked up. So I waited by the road for maybe like 13 minutes. And then finally I just went back in the woods with this dim, kind of like half-powered flashlight, and continued the hike for about 3 more hours. Finally, a little before 11, I start to get the sense that I'm kind of getting down toward the burning barrel. I can kind of hear the sounds of people at the finish line. I start seeing cars. I keep thinking someone will come by that'll actually be from the group or anything. No one come by. Last year, I finished at like 10 something, and there were people like showing up like in the woods, like with their lights going, are you okay, are you okay? So I get in there, and it just kind of, I'm like, I'm done. And then like they just kind of make me feel so crappy, and it's like, you should have called, like blah blah blah, you could have been dead, well this, that, like I don't know. I just felt so good about that event last year, and I felt so kind of like let down this year. But I was still glad that I did it, but I had no interest in doing the bike thing even on Sunday, because I was just done being cold and wet. I did 19 miles of rafting, 31 miles on the trail, like a 17-hour day, which is up there with the longest continuous endurance effort I've ever done, comparable to what I put into the Laurel Highlands Ultra last year when I got to mile 57 at 17 hours and 15 minutes. So I'm hoping that the, you know, kind of the failure and sort of the disappointment of that, as much as it's disappointing in its own right, it's probably going to strengthen me a lot for the Laurel Highlands, which is still coming up in about another month. And today I'm hoping to get some training for that. So here I am. I thought I'd come up here for a nice hike, but since I'm not finding anyone, since this trail is actually a lot longer than 5 miles, I'm just gonna see how far I can go. But yeah, so I spent the bulk of this past week, had to reorder my phone, which of course through the you know, I hurry up to get back to a Verizon store that's still open to purchase a cell phone, thinking I'll pick one up in the store, but you have to go through the insurance, which takes forever. Alright, so didn't want to think anyone to think I have a few screws that need tightening. Although I guess here in ultra running I do have a few screws that are loose. Yeah, most of the week was spent just trying to get my phone back. Finally it came back on Tuesday, and then just yesterday night when I got paid, I was able to get this GoPro 5 camera that I'm using right now. Now I'm like, I'm not gonna have a lot of extra money for quite a while, but yeah, I totally didn't expect that trip to go the way it did. Last year's Mile Triathalon was spectacular, and I think the year before it was probably even better given the pictures I've seen. But yeah, last year it was a joy. I wanted to keep going when I finished the bike, or the run at 10 o'clock last year. And they said, no, it's too late. You should not ride your bike in the dark or start in the dark or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. But yeah, this year I was like, I'm done. Like, I told myself, no need to tell me I'm, I don't know, what do you call it, cut off or whatever. So I guess next year they're going to make this thing something a little bigger. Maybe put it on ultra sign up and have time cutoffs and this and that. I'm like, yeah, do whatever you gotta do. I just don't want to be banned or anything from it. Because it's, yeah, I set my mind to doing something. I don't not do a trail race or an event that I think I can't do. I know certain people that won't attempt something unless they think like absolutely sure they can do it. Kind of like the, I don't know, just like people that were brought up by a Chinese mother or something type thing. I am just like, you know what, I want to freaking see where I fail and know what my limits are and kind of work from there. I like to have one thing that's that's a little bit of a stretch. So I had 2 of them this year actually, and it was to try to see if I could pull off that Mile Triathalon. And honestly, given the horrendous conditions, like historically unprecedented, horrific conditions, like slogging through 1 to 2 inches of water continuously across the whole trail, even though I was like 2 hours slower in absolute time, I think I may still have done better. I think I probably exerted more energy and effort this year than I did the previous year. And if you get a break next year and the weather is fine, I'm probably going to sail through that course, and it's going to be just amazing because I trained in the hardest conditions. So the next thing is Laurel Ultra, and then it's kind of kept my calendar open after that. I don't have a lot of money. I kind of don't want to like exhaust it all. I feel like I'm sort of running my bank account down way too fast as it is. So I might slow down a little kind of the end of June and July, sort of figure out what big adventures I want to do next, maybe in the fall. One thing that's pretty amazing that they did improve with this GoPro 5 camera is that if you accidentally film upside down, it automatically knows to upgrade your pictures. And I'm filming upside down. Okay, now we're good. I think I've been filming upside down the whole time. Well, it wasn't that long ago. Back in 2014, I remember making some videos on the KE Trail when I rode my bike across Missouri. The longest, most adventurous, ambitious meetup events I ever participated in. And filmed these really awe-inspiring, just amazing scenes of the Missouri River, just running really high and just full of mud, and just the feeling of, like, in the footsteps of Lewis and Clark. And I mean, it was all conveyed in that video. I didn't get a lot of videos, but when I got home, I realized they were upside down, and there was no technology. There was no way to fix that in 2014. I had to wait until last year, 2016. I finally sort of kind of discovered how to do some basic editing on videos and use YouTube editor, and I was able to turn those videos and rotate them around. I mean, now it's like you can put the videos on your computer. Now I have a newer computer, and I do it even before you upload them to the internet. But yeah, it was like a disaster. He took a video upside down. Wow. One thing I do like is when I do these really long trail runs, how it just eventually all the garbage, all the gobbledygook, whatever's been filling up and clogging up your brain just kind of goes away. And you can start to really think clearly and kind of put your thoughts together, sort of work on some problems. It's almost like the same thing that probably happens when you're dreaming at night, but it actually happens when you're awake. Another interesting thing too, and I know this happens as a result of severe sleep deprivation last week on the Canyon Man race. Once it got past dark, I had to filter some water, of course, use some purification tablets and all that kind of survival stuff, because there's no way you can carry enough water. I have no idea what this green trail is. But I started to hallucinate. I started to see some strange things. Now last year, people were joking. They thought I was hallucinating because I saw a porcupine the size of a bear. But I got it on video. But yeah, this year, yeah, no pictures, no videos of the event. But I started seeing what looked like mailboxes in the middle of the woods. Things coming at me, you know, animals or something. Yeah, it is just kind of crazy, because it's like when you get kind of sleep deprived, at least for me, if someone kind of says something that wouldn't normally startle someone, like I'll get easily startled. But when you're hallucinating, your own mind startles you. Like you start to jump and you're like, holy crap. And it's just like, because you're literally dreaming and you're awake. And that's how tired I was, that's how delirious I was. So that night, I keep going forward and backwards, but last Sunday night, would have been May 7th, finally got back to the campground. Took forever to find, of course. Of course, I couldn't remember the crazy convoluted way that I got there the previous night, because I couldn't remember much of anything that day. I was just so tired. 1 o'clock or so I got to my tent, and I had kind of thought, I'm going to take some caffeine, drink some coffee or whatever, and try to drive across the state. It was going down to like 32 degrees that night, but it never really got that cold. And it had just soaked everything the previous night. And I ended up being so tired when I finally got there. It was like the bathroom was like 1,000 feet away, and it took everything I could. Like I had to poop, and it took like everything I could muster to not just like collapse in the tent, to actually go to the bathroom and take a poop. Know that I'd sleep better if I did that first. And I went in the tent and like completely passed out, like instantly asleep, like something that hasn't happened since I was drinking or something. 6 hours. Woke up, felt moderately rested. I mean, still tired or whatever, but once it gets light, you know, it gets light a little earlier there, 6 o'clock, the sun comes up. You can't really sleep when you're camping, and of course, usually some crow or something flies around, and it's like it's his job to wake every camper up. And then a goose will come. So, of course, the animals were waking me up. And, yeah, and then I just started to drive around and kind of think, well, what do I want to do now? I knew I kind of wanted to make my way home, but I wasn't sure which way I wanted to go. I thought maybe I'd go down through Williamsport and try to get some frozen round soda, since it's made in Williamsport, and since they oftentimes will have it at this place called Mid-State Brewery. So the first part was heading toward Wellsboro, and on the way, kind of a little bit going east of Wellsboro, I saw a laundromat. Was able to do all my laundry, and it's interesting to note the laundromats in Wellsboro are about half of the price. Like literally everything is half the price as it is in Pittsburgh or Wexford or Southwest Pennsylvania. Like quadruple loader washing machines, like $3.50 or something. So I got like 3 massive loads of laundry done and dried and all that, maybe $14. And then I was, my tent was done too. Yeah, I forgot to tell you. So this whole Canyon Man thing, where I essentially got only the 6 hours of sleep in 3 days that took place after the event. My tent was being held up by a broken paddle, and I forgot that my tent from the previous year was broke because I just was in a hurry and threw it in my car. So on the way back, I purchased another tent, which will hopefully do me good in my future adventures, like next weekend. We're going down the Clarion River. But yeah, it turned out to be amazingly epic. But yeah, it's just kind of sad that I didn't have any pictures or anything to show. Only the story. So hopefully you guys will get something out of this. Seeing the lovely Gerard Trail here up in Oil Creek State Park, but also it's kind of my way of conveying my adventure from last weekend as well. Canyon Man 100 miler, 4th annual triathlon up in Tioga County. And I kind of did it as a duathlon because I skipped the biking. Once again though, what's kind of neat about this year is the first ever female participated. I don't know if she finished or not. So she was in the raft with us, and I just was hoping to get a finish because like last year they had 8 people participate. This year they actually had 7. And this event is so epic. I mean, you would think that, based on like Ironmans and some of the crazy stuff that people are into and these outrageous rates that they charge for people to do those things, that this thing would be just packed to capacity instantly. But gorgeous wild part of Pennsylvania, and there's like nobody wants to come. And so I was thinking, man, if I could finish, I'd be like one of the first finishers kind of in the history of this event when it gets much, much bigger, as it probably will, because the group that puts these on, the Tioga Running Club, has lots of other events that get 250 people, and they're very they have 100-mile runs and different things, very well known in Pennsylvania. So I kind of got the feeling that next year this event that's been kind of like a download sort of freebie thing is probably going to have some kind of price attached to it, hopefully not too hefty, and it's going to be a little amped up.